Hello Bookish friends, welcome to my April wrap-up part 1. In this video, I will talk about the 5 books that I finished and 1 book that I DNF'd in the first half of April. And like I did in my previous wrap-ups, I will insert the clips that I recorded very soon after I finish those works. Today is the 2nd of April and I finished the book that I was reading for my besties book club. We decided to read a science fiction classic, which was The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. This was a reread for me. I will read the Goodreads synopsis because I think it is a very accurate description of the book. When an army of invading Martians land in England, panic and terror seize the population. As the aliens traverse the country in huge three-legged machines, incinerating all in their path with a heat ray and spreading noxious toxic gases, the people of Earth must come to terms with the prospect of the end of the human civilization and the beginning of Martian rule. And we follow an unnamed narrator who's living in England trying to survive this War of the Worlds. I have reread some of the books that I was not fond of before and quite liked them upon a reread. Unfortunately, this was not the case for this book. I gave the same rating, 6 out of 10. Actually, according to my enjoyment level, I would have given this book a 4 out of 10. However, I thought the imagination of Wells is very admirable. And considering the time period that it was written, it is a very pioneer book, and this book inspired the genre of alien science fiction and has been adapted many times into very exciting stories. However, I think H.G. Wells' writing style is very close to textbook nonfiction in so many parts. The writing is very dry. It is a big case of telling but not showing anything. I did not change my rating like I said before, and I gave The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells a 6 out of 10. Today is the 3rd of April and I finished the book that I was bud reading with Loretta, which was also a carryover from March. Dexter is Delicious by Lindsay. We are bud reading the entirety of Dexter series with Loretta. And in this book, we continue to follow Dexter Morgan as some of the things in his life changes. He's now a proud father and decides that maybe he should leave the life of being a dark avenger behind for the sake of his daughter. However, when Dexter, with Deborah, who is the police chief sister of his, gets involved with a crime that is very different from all of the crimes that he encountered, which includes the disappearance of a girl and signs of a cult which involves vampirism. Dexter's dark desires really fail to disappear, and with the reappearance of a figure from the past really disturbs Dexter's perfect family life. I thought that I would like this series, but I never thought that I would be so much invested in the character of Dexter. And the more I read the series, the more I like that the characters have a distinctive development as they go through all of these events in the series. So in terms of character development and the dark humor that is portrayed in the books, I also very much enjoyed this book. In terms of plot, the first half I think was excellent. However, there was an incident in the second half which really upset me while reading it. And although it did not go as bad as I thought that it would, I still thought that it was a quite easy and a bit cheap plot trick. So that's why I rated this book a bit lower than the previous ones. However, overall, I'm very much enjoying this bud reading experience as well as the characters in the series. And I cannot wait to continue with the series and eventually finish it. So I gave Dexter is Delicious by Lindsay a 7 out of 10. Today is the 5th of April and I finished the first book that I was reading for People April, titled Kahire-Kızıldeniz, Bir Bisiklet Öyküsü by Sibel Buğdaycı. The title of the book can be translated as Cairo, Red Sea, a bicycle trip. This book tells the story of a Turkish woman in her late 20s or early 30s taking a trip with a professional biker through the country of Egypt. The book starts with the decision to join this trip and ends with the day that they go back to Istanbul. I think this book delivered what it aimed to do and told the observations of a Turkish woman traveling with bike in Egypt. From what I read from Egypt, I knew some of the things that she talked about. However, there were some very, very good anecdotes about the people living especially in small towns in Egypt, and also the very harsh conditions of a desert travel with bike was felt all throughout the book. Although I'm a big fan of cycling, I like to cycle in clean environments, in designated bike roads, and after reading this book, I thought my preference really fits me because I would not have survived what she had gone through. So overall, I thought it was a very decent book. And I gave Kahire-Kızıldeniz, Bir Bisiklet Yolculuğu by Sibel Buğdaycı a 7 out of 10. Today is the 9th of April and I finished the audiobook that I was listening for 5 days. The Matchmaker's Lonely Heart by Nancy Campell Ellen. Amy and I decided to body read this series together, and it was very, very interesting that without knowing, we both put the book in our TBR with the recommendation of Tia, a very good friend of ours. In this book, we follow Emily Hampton, living in 1880s in London, and she is determined to become a woman of her independent means, like her Aunt Sally. She earns her living by working in the Marriage Gazette and answering Lonely Hearts column. Emily plays matchmaker with 2 anonymous Lonely Hearts. She also decides to secretly observe the couple's date, and is Harold Radcliffe, whom she admires from afar. Police detective Michael Baker notices her, who thinks Harold Radcliffe has murdered his wife, but he has no clue. Emilia and Michael decide to work together to discover if Harold is guilty or not, but they gradually develop feelings for each other. There were many things I liked about this book. The mystery was really good, although it did not have any big surprise plot twists. It was still very, very engaging because the characters were really likable. Aside from the main couple, the secondary characters were also quite likable. I also thought the writing style of the author was pretty good. The interaction between the couple was very cute and romantic at certain parts of the book. However, the romance aspect of the book was uneven in its development. It had a very slow start, but at some point the romance developed very, very fast, even for a cozy romance book. Most importantly, the main female character was annoyingly naive at some parts of the book and acted very, very stupidly at certain points in the book. Overall, I quite enjoyed this first book in the series, and we plan to continue with the following 2 books because we both enjoyed reading about the secondary characters, who will of course be the main characters in the next books. Overall, I gave The Matchmaker's Lonely Heart by Nancy Campell Ellen a 7 out of 10. Today is the 12th of April and I finished the book that I was reading for Agatha for Alice project, created by Emily at Novel Novels. Although this month's book, which is Murder on the Orient Express, is a great book to read, because I have read it so many times, I've decided to continue with the next book in Hercule Poirot series, Three Blind Mice and Other Stories by Agatha Christie. This book consists of a novella, 3 Blind Mice, 4 Miss Marple short stories, 3 Hercule Poirot short stories, and 1 Harley Quinn short story. Novella 3 Blind Mice is actually the inspiration for Agatha Christie's very famous play, The Mousetrap. And 3 Blind Mice was the story that I liked the most. The story had a lot of action and very different characters, which is ideal for a theater play. I can clearly see why it became an inspiration for such a successful play. I also really liked the short story, The Adventure of Johnny Waverly. I thought the mystery was very well structured. The other stories were also quite good. There was not a story that I disliked or felt bored while listening to it. So overall, I gave 3 Blind Mice and Other Short Stories by Agatha Christie an 8 out of 10. Today is the 15th of April, and I finished one book yesterday evening, and I DNF'd one book today. The book that I finished was the second book that I was reading for People April, which was a very popular book in BookTube. 84 Charing Crossroad by Helen, Hanff. Book is an epistolary memoir of 2 people corresponding each other for 20 years. Helen Hanff, a freelance writer living in New York City, and a used books dealer in London, Frank Dole. And through the years, this correspondence extends to people that are involved in the bookshop, and also Frank's family. I very much enjoyed this book, and I can clearly see why it's such a favorite book in BookTube. This book really captures the love of books between the 2 correspondents. And it also has a very good feeling of community, especially between the characters in London. Although Helen and Frank's correspondence was also very intriguing, Helen's correspondence between these side characters was the cutest part of the book for me. The shared humor type between Helen and Frank was very interesting. However, I have to admit it was not my type of humor. Other than that, I very much enjoyed this memoir, and I gave 84 Charing Crossroad by Helen Hanff an 8 out of 10. And the book that I DNF'd was the book that I was reading for Fear of Missing Out book club, which was Eragon by Christopher Paolini. First of all, I want to admit that if this book had been half its length, I would have probably finished it, because I did not hate it. I read up to 25%, and the book so far has given a quite cute friendship between our main character Eragon and his dragon. However, other than that, the events in the book did not feel exciting enough for me to continue with the book and read a book more than 500 pages. Even though I did not finish the book, I plan to still attend the discussion of this book, because Jack and Gemma's discussion have been very engaging and fruitful so far. So those were the 5 books that I finished, and 1 book that I DNF'd in the first half of April. Please comment down below, have you read any of those books, and what did you think of them? If you're a new viewer, first of all, welcome. Please like and subscribe. Hope to see you very soon. Bye. As for Turkish word of the day, I'm going to choose lonely. Lonely means yalnız in Turkish, and yalnız is our Turkish word of the day. Have a good day.